Good afternoon. My name is Xavier Ochoa. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. And as an engineer, I'd have a proclivity to talk about numbers. But this afternoon, I'm actually going to talk more of the story of what we're doing. Because we've gone a long ways, time has passed, and oftentimes it seems like it doesn't move fast enough. When you look at our portfolio of projects, we're in 4 different locations, and each one of the projects that we have and mines that we have is not just a single deposit and a single mine. It's actually a cornerstone asset with growth potential, with a number of other growth opportunities that have been developed either through exploration, through acquisition, or that we have not been able to unlock the economics of them. If you recall, a year ago, I made a statement that 2017 was going to be a year of consolidation, and in fact it was. By the end of the year, we had consolidated our position to where we knew that we had firm projects at Goldberg, we had a steady operation with a future outlook at El Gallo in Mexico, and we had taken control and stabilized the operation at Black Fox. When you look at our production numbers, the most important thing to highlight here is the fact that for the first quarter, we met our goals. We met our gold production, we stayed within our cost guidance, and we remain on track to produce 171,000 ounces this year. During the first quarter, our biggest contributor, as it has always been, was the San Jose mine in Argentina, followed by the El Gallo mine. Now, as we go forward for the remainder of the year and El Gallo mines out, and we just continue leaching, what we're going to find out is that Black Fox becomes a lot more relevant. So if we start looking at each one of the mines one by one, what we actually find out is that Goldberg, after going through a feasibility update, which we published earlier this year, still confirms its attractive economics, as Andrew mentioned. So there is a compelling case not just to build a project on time and on schedule, but to grow it and to try to augment the size of the project as early on as possible. Obviously, we still have to build it, we have to commission, and there is some permitting processes associated with any expansions that we have. But exploration progress to date around the mine has already suggested that we can start adjusting our mine plan. So it's all good news. In this graph that you have in front of you, what you're looking at is, on a very simple manner, on a quarter-by-quarter basis, the major tasks to getting the Goldberg project into operation. The green bars represent what has already been achieved and progress to date, while the orange bars represent what's yet to be done. If you look at it, we stayed on track to actually achieve a record of decision on the permitting, which is not a minor thing. And as we've said before, we're one of the few mines that have achieved the permit in such a short time. The site mobilized successfully in the middle of the winter, started construction, and construction is now in progress. We're in fact pioneering the mine now, and we got the actual plant construction ongoing as well as the leach pad liner systems. At this point, we're confident we're going to be loading the pad in the third quarter, and by the end of the fourth quarter, we'll start seeing our first gold production. Not yet commercial, but we'll be there. So again, we're on track, and this mine will be the replacement for the production that is now dwindling at El Gallo, Mexico. Black Fox is evolving into being a very significant player in the company. But there's a story there. When we acquired the mine at the end of last year, we really didn't have a very good picture as far as the ongoing operation. What we saw was a lot of potential in the people, potential in the geological endowment, and a mine that had been forgotten by its prior owners in terms of investing in it, resource conversion, modernization, equipment. So what we've done so far this year is we've actually started active cost containment. We're bringing the cost in line. It's still a high-cost operation, but we're starting to control it. We're very aggressively exploring, not just looking for new deposits, also brownfield exploration and advancing and converting the resources we know are there into mineable stopes. And we're starting to actually look at the growth plans. We're now having a sense of where the growth is going to come from, how is it going to happen. But we also, in addition to containing the costs, we're just starting, and in fact it was just this week that we're starting the process of being very aggressive into improving our cost structures, our mine efficiency, the way we do the business. Looking at the end of the year, we want to continue with exploration. We want to have a solid life of mine plan in place that we're acting on. And also we want to make sure that we're actually seeing the benefits of an aggressive cost reduction program. This is going to lead us, as we go into 19 and beyond, to have a lower cost operation, have the growth projects actually coming to fruition, and exploration continuing to build up on its own success. So if you look at this, the future starts looking very different from what we thought it was going to be. We can see that from the known resources, we can actually preserve production. We can even start thinking that maybe after 2021, we could see an increase in production. But most importantly, what we know from the properties we acquired from Lexan, like the Fuller property, the Gray Fox, that has been sitting there for a number of years, like El Gallo Silver, waiting for its turn, and some of the exploration potential that we have below and around the Black Fox mine, we're now starting to see that we can substantially extend the life of the asset. So that changes the dynamics of the place, and it certainly makes a call for having the right decision in investing in exploration there. So going back to El Gallo Gold, our old stalwarty Warhorse, we're mining out the oxides. You can see in the two pictures the two active pits that we have. One is shutting down this week, and the other one will be shutting week after next. There's still a lot of ore in stockpiles, so after we finish mining this month, we're still going to continue crushing for at least 1 month, placing it under leach, and then continuing the active leaching. It's been a good mine, but it's also been a mine of a very successful innovation at a very local scale that oftentimes don't meet a lot of glory. So I want to highlight a lot of the work that the team on site has done. They found themselves with very difficult geotechnical conditions 3 years ago. They overcame those. They found themselves with squirrely ore bodies. They were able to define the central ore body. Metallurgy has become very difficult as we get deeper. We've gotten into more sulfidic materials with different characteristics, and nonetheless, they continue to successfully leach with very decent leach return. So it's upon that success and that knowledge that we're able to turn the page and go forward. For a long time, there's always been the promise of an El Gallo 2, whether it was El Gallo Silver project or different gyrations, but the end result was that we were always looking at going from one mine to the next one, discrete events, one after the other. And what their innovation showed is that we had a lot of assets, we had a lot of invested capital, a lot of know-how, and if we utilized it and aggregated the value of these things, we actually had the opportunity of lower our entry capital to advance into the other deposits we had, and also had the opportunity to extend the life of the mine. That is where we're now calling the Phoenix Project. In very simple terms, it's a project that relies on reprocessing the spent ore on the heap, milling it, and for that we build a small mill. And after a couple of years, we expand the mill with a more complex flow sheet and truck in the ore to be mined from El Gallo Silver, Palmarito, and other deposits to generate critical mass that allows us to start now mining on all the other exploration discoveries that over the years have happened there, whose metallurgy does not allow for conventional heap leaching. When you look at the numbers on this, its initial capital is relatively low. And its expansionary capital to bring the El Gallo Silver and other deposits online, it's even lower. So that gives us some very attractive rates of return and a very quick payback. And best of all, we have a trained workforce, we own the land, we have the mineral rights, the water rights, and we know how to operate in that jurisdiction. So it is even a low risk of execution. Here you can see in the image a rendering of what this will look like. And I think this is a very important thing because one of the game changers that we have is that the old El Gallo Silver project required the construction of a standalone mill and its own tailings dam. What we found out is amenability within the regulators in Mexico to accept a project by which we could do in-pit tailings disposal and backfill the Samaniego pit with our tailings. And it's basically gravity from that mill location between the heap and the pit into the pit, which takes a lot of capital off of us and also improves our environmental performance. by eliminating additional assets and also allowing us to reclaim the heap in a cost-productive manner rather than just a cost-efficient manner, and with no long-term liability for an old heap leach pad. So in summation, where does this put us? This puts us going from 2017 at 152,000 ounces to an estimated 171,000 in 2018, which we are on track on producing. And then if we look into 2019, and we are successful in getting Goldberg, as all indications are, into production, we're going to take a leap. We're now going to be at over 200,000 ounces per year sustainable production. What this means for us is that as we start advancing on these projects that we have, particularly the projects in the Black Fox area, we are going to be growing our production.